10-year-old Jesse was fast asleep, dreaming about whatever it is young boys dream about. Cowboys, Indians, race cars, and rocket ships, when his father roused him from bed that early morning of July 1947. Jesse's dad had just returned from the site of a major air flight incident, and he thought it was important his son see the wreckage that he had collected: a sheet of metal from the aircraft's fuselage, a small metal beam about 2 feet in length, and what looked like strings made from plastic. After that strange early morning, young Jesse would spend the rest of his life, the next 60-plus years, dreaming about that night. Jesse's dad was Major Jesse Marcel Sr., intelligence officer at the 509th Bomb Group, located at the Roswell Army Air Force Base in New Mexico. Major Marcel was also in charge of security for the United States Young Atomic Weapons Research and Testing, which occurred at Alamogordo and White Sands. The wreckage artifacts Major Marcel had thought were so important his son Jesse see firsthand had been collected from a crash site located at the J.B. Foster Ranch in Chavez County, New Mexico. The aircraft crashed a few days earlier, as witnessed by Mr. and Mrs. Dan Wilmot on July 3, 1947, while they sat on their porch that evening. They observed the craft in distress as it flew over their residence at an accelerated speed, wobbling, trying to correct its attitude before disappearing over the northeastern horizon.
In July of 1947, it was one summer evening, they were sitting out here. Dad looked up in the west and saw an object that came down and had lights blinking, and it was rather frightening to him, but he said all of a sudden it seemed to rock a little bit and sort of counterbalanced itself, wiggle a little bit, then seemed to settle down and take off at a rapid rate of speed.
Mac Brazel, foreman of the J.B. Foster Ranch, was first to find the wreckage strewn across the New Mexico landscape. He collected some of the material, delivering it to the office of George Wilcox, sheriff of Chavez County. It was Sheriff Wilcox who had alerted Jesse's dad, Major Marcel, to the crash. Jesse Marcel Jr. was not surprised when the headlines on the July 8, 1947 edition of the Roswell Daily Record declared that a flying saucer, complete with little green men, was captured by the local Roswell Army Air Force Base. What did surprise Jesse Marcel, his dad Major Marcel, Sheriff Wilcox, Mac Brazel, and all the other local folks of Roswell, was how quickly the truth was buried and replaced with lies, threats, and intimidation after the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, became involved in the incident. The same lies that still occult the reality of what occurred in Roswell 69 years ago, that July 1947. Despite all of the witnesses, despite the Army's requests for hermetically sealed caskets for the dead passengers of the saucer vessel, the cover story of a weather balloon crash replaced the flying saucer headlines for 30 years until author Stanton Friedman would resurrect the incident. Stan Friedman was the first civilian investigator of the Roswell incident, having parlayed his background as a physicist and government researcher into becoming the world's first premier ufologist, exposing government lies and cover-ups regarding the Earth's visitors and their technology. Public interest in the event would continue to grow as media reports on the 30-year-old incident spread. In 1994, 47 years after the government insisted a weather balloon had crashed, they changed their story, claiming that the Roswell debris was from the Project Mogul research balloon, from a program started in the summer of 1947. Project Mogul's alleged purpose was to detect finger brackets, Soviet nuclear weapons, and Soviet nuclear weapons testing. But it should be noted that the Soviets wouldn't test their first atomic weapon until August 1949, 2 years and a month after the Roswell incident. Therefore, the likelihood that Project Mogul had been deployed to detect something 2 years before it existed is equal to that of an Army intelligence officer not recognizing the aluminum foil, balsa wood, and rubber tubes that the Army Air Force would later claim were the Roswell crash wreckage debris.
And what I saw, I couldn't believe there was so much of it. It was scattered over such a vast area. So we proceeded to pick up as much of the debris as we could, loaded in a wagon. We filled that up. It took us a good part of the day to do that, because there were such small fragments that we had to do a lot of picking. We found a piece of metal about a 1.5 to 2 feet wide and about 2 or 3 feet long. Felt like you had nothing in your hands. It wasn't any thicker than the foil out of a pack of cigarettes. But the the thing about that got me is that you couldn't even bend it, you couldn't bend it, even with a sledgehammer would bounce off it. So I knew that I had never seen anything like that before. And as of now, I don't know what it was. They took pictures, of course. They had a whole flock of microphones there. They wanted me they wanted some comments from me, but I wasn't at liberty to do that. So all I could do is keep my mouth shut. And General Ramey is the one who discussed, told the newspapers, the newsmen, what it was and to forget about it. It was nothing more than a weather observation balloon, of course, which we both knew differently. It was not anything from this earth that I'm quite sure of, because being an intelligence officer, I was familiar with just about all materials used in aircraft and in our air travel. This is nothing like that. It could not be. It could not have been.
It is said the original wreckage and passengers of the Roswell craft were transported to the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, where two of the unfortunate saucer pilots would be stored on ice, and a third occupant who survived the crash and the transport to the heartland before expiring as it attempted to phone home. The government still stands by stories about weather balloons that change every few decades. The Roswell witnesses, including Jesse Marcel Jr., would stand by their assertions. Researchers like Stan Friedman continue to see through the lies told by his former employers, while programs invested in critical thought and truth, like Bad Machine, continue to retell the tale of the Roswell UFO crash and of the flimsy cover story, like all too many put forward by government bureaucrats who do not believe that Americans can handle a universal truth. Personally, I'm long past the saturation point where government lies are concerned. And as America reels from the FBI director finger bracket's latest lies, allowing Hillary Clinton to escape justice for her blatant violations of 18 U.S. Code 793 and 18 U.S. Code 2071, it is clear the government does not ever intend to be honest with the American people. Not 69 years ago, and not today. As we continue to provide you, our most special listening audience, the very brightest of your generation, these truths, it is you now who will bear this torch of liberty and truth, exposing the lies that we have revealed to you, an elected leadership and their anonymous legions of bureaucrats that lie to the people about what falls out of the very sky we all share, on a world, in a universe we apparently share with unnamed others, does not have your best interest at the center of its concern. What that leadership is most concerned about is controlling your perception of reality, while it crafts more lies and scandals to steal from you your human right to know the truth. A government so intent on keeping you in the dark has no right to lead you in any manner. The truth is out there, but the truth is right here. And you're not going to get it until you demand it. And the people who lie to you are not going to give it to you freely until you demand it of them. So it doesn't matter if it's the FBI lying about Hillary Clinton or the FBI lying about the fact that you are not alone in the universe. When people lie to you in so blatant a manner, it is now your responsibility to call them out on it. Let them know you have no confidence in their ability to lead. I have handed you the torch. What will you do with it?